Hello, class. Professor Munshi again. We are on ITSY 1442. Today, I am going to discuss chapter number 11, Building an Incident Response Program. And I will also, as I speak, I will correspond to your actual courseware. So you will see when I am teaching you the key points, explaining to you, I will also visit the courseware so you can see your book, so that you can actually get familiar with what I'm talking about and you can correspond to my explaining and also your book. So you can later on, you can read the book and with full confidence. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to discuss is this: the security incidents. What makes a security incident? What is an event as opposed to what is an incident? An event is anything that happens. Somebody logged in, somebody logged out, somebody accessed a file server, somebody scanning a port, an attacker is trying to launch an attack. Everything is an event. Okay, those things would be always logged, for example, in our event log. And what is a security incident? An incident is bigger than that normally. That is a violation of an imminent threat of violation of security policies. Okay, such as example would be an accidental data loss, intrusion by a hacker. Okay, so these are your incidents. So when an incident happens, then somebody has to document it, respond to it. So let's look at the chapter right now and see what they're talking about. What is an event as opposed to what is an incident? Okay, the incidents are bigger. So that's why they say that every security incident includes one or more events, but not every event is considered to be an incident. Interesting. So then you create a team who will be responding to any kind of incident, and that team is called the Cybersecurity Incident Response Team. Okay, Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, CSIRT. Back to our PowerPoint. So now next slide. The Cybersecurity Incident Response Team is a dedicated team, a designated team. So a company, before any incident happens, the first thing they would do is to create policy, of course, procedure, and also designate the people who are the team members of an incident response in case any incident takes place. Okay, they are responsible for responding to any kind of security incident, and they must follow proper policies and procedure. Okay, now what are the phases of incident response? So we have an incident response team and they are ready to respond, and an incident really happens. Well, it really begins before any incident takes place, because the day that incident is taking place, you can't prepare on that day. So let's talk about the entire procedure of incident response. Four phases. The first one is the preparation phase, and then of course detection and analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, and post-incident activity. So there are four notable phases. Preparation, of course, must be the first one. And NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, they detail these incident response phases in their SP or special publication number 800-61. So if you Google it, that in the or look up in the NIST website, you're going to see incident response phases are described in here. Let's talk about the preparation phase. In the preparation phase, that's when you're going to create a company is going to create its incident response team. It's going to designate a team member, the core members of the team, the non-essential as needed members of the team, the exact policy and procedure all will be created in the preparation phase. And we'll discuss a little bit later more detail on that. Also, the team, the CSRIT, um, CSIRT, what they will be needing is some tools, hardware, software, some information. Those are also need, they all need to be collected beforehand in the preparation phase. You may think, what tools may be needed? Well, the for example, a digital forensic workstation. When we do digital forensic, after an incident takes place, there's a stringent, very seriously developed, careful process is followed. So no data is lost, no evidence is tampered. So this is a very serious process. So you have to have a very specialized workstation where you need to bring your evidence to analyze. That's a digital forensic workstations. You have to have backup devices where you can reliably back up all data and the state of the machine at the time the incident took place unaltered, not corrupted. So, in case you need to present that to law enforcement, you could do that. You have to have laptops for data collection, analysis, and reporting. So, let's go back to the chapter and see what are the tools that are needed. Our book talks about the tools. Let's see. Here are some tools. Like the spare server and networking equipment. You need some blank removable media, a portable printer, forensic and packet capture software, and so on. So these are very well known tools that are necessary. Okay, so go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we're talking about the phase two. We talked about preparation. We're going to talk more about preparation pretty soon. So let's talk about now the phase number two, detection and analysis. When an incident happens, you need to detect the incidents and you also need to analyze the incident. Let's discuss why, what exactly that is and why. If you do not detect an incident, how do you know that an incident actually is taking place or has taken place? How do you detect? Well, you get the alert from IDS, intrusion detection system. You have some software and hardware or both that you have to detect any kind of incident. Okay, then you have IPS, okay, intrusion prevention system. If somebody is trying to intrude, this system is going to prevent that intruder based on some security policy that you set in there. So you have logs or alerts from these kind of devices. You have firewalls, you have antivirus, you have monitoring devices and software. All of those security tools will send you an alert when some incident is taking place, something unusual, something that is abnormal is taking place. You should receive an alert in your syslog server or in your console, monitoring console. You're going to see an alert has showed up. Also, you look at the logs. Logs are generated from all the devices, your network devices, routers and switches, and your firewalls, and your PCs and laptops, all the devices that are connected to the network, they all have their own logs. And those logs will be sent to the central monitoring console or the log server. Okay. Now, people also need to look at the public forums where a new virus, new vulnerability, new threat is reported. Say you have a software, that software has been a vulnerability found in that software. Okay, so it will be reported in some public forums that hey, such and such software has a vulnerability, be careful. Or a new threat has appeared, a new virus has just been known. So in the public forums, those kind of threats will be reported. So we need to keep an eye on that. Also, the reported activity by internal and external people. People in our company, or people from our vendor, or people from our public forums that we subscribe to, they may send us a report that, hey, be careful. I am noticing some abnormal activity, or this is the new thing going on, be aware of it. So that's how we detect an incident. Okay. Now, once detected, we need to analyze we need to analyze we need to find out what type of incident it is, what kind of damage it may cause, how much in trouble we are. So we need to detect that the severity. So once detected, how to analyze? Well, let's talk about this first. You first profile the network, okay, and systems to know expected activities. Okay, this is you are doing basically validation whether it's really an incident or not. That is the first step. Here we are trying to validate whether it's truly an incident, because we have a profile. We have written that normally our network acts this way. This is our traffic level. This is our service, bandwidth. This is how much bandwidth is being used. So if we see all of a sudden that all the server machines are choking, perhaps we have gotten a DDoS attack, like denial of service kind of attack. Okay, we profile normal behavior from the users, systems, applications. All of a sudden, if we see a particular user account is doing so many activities, logging in and out, copying data that they should not be copying that much data or sending out that much data. Those are all flag raisers. So we should have a normal behavior profile, and we can match the daily activities with that profile, with that threshold or that pattern. So comparing that, we would know if anything abnormal is happening. Okay, that's how we validate whether it's a or detect whether it's an incident or a potential incident. Okay, that is detection and analysis. We are in the chapter now. Look at this: profiling the network, understand the normal behavior. Okay, create a logging policy. You create a policy that what should be logged, what logs should be reported, what logs should be alerted to us. Okay, then you have the SIM system, that is security information and event management. A SIM system would send you alert and log the detail of unusual, abnormal activities. Okay, we need to synchronize our clocks among all the servers and workstations and network devices. So all the devices will have exact same time. So two different devices or several devices will not report the same incident in different times. We may be confused. We may be thinking that many incidents have taken place. But if their time was not synchronized, then each device is going to potentially going to report that same incidents in different times. Okay, so all the times have to be synchronized. We need to maintain an organizational knowledge base so we can compare abnormal activities with this knowledge base, and so on. Okay, now third step would be, once we have discovered or detected an incident and we have validated that this is really an incident, then what do we do? Let's talk about that. Okay, then we are going to go to the phase number 3, which is containment, eradication, and recovery. So we need to contain. First of all, contain means stop the spread. Something has already happened, we are in trouble, an attack has happened. So minimize that attack, stop that attack from spreading further, causing more damage. That's containment. Second thing we do in this phase would be eradication. We need to neutralize the threat, remove the threat, kill the threat, and get rid of the threat. That is eradication. Recovery: once the threat is gone, we need to restore our normal state of operation so that everybody can be productive again. All our devices, all our application, the server machines, our system, all can come back to normal phase, normal operational mode. That is our phase number 3. Okay, now let's look at the chapter now. Okay, pretty much easy. So go to the phase number 4. Phase 4, we have post incident activity. Once we have eradicated the event, the incident, we have restored the normal activity, then we say, well, now we are back to normal. So now, post incident already happened. What did we learn? What do we do with how do we use the knowledge that we have learned? So that is important. Post incident activity, we would do a review to learn what exactly happened. when it happened, where it happened, how did that happen, what should we do in the future to what should we do in the future to so that this kind of incident would not repeat again. Okay, so then we also do evidence retention. After the incident, we need to retain the evidence. Why? There could be a lawsuit, there could be a criminal prosecution. Okay, there could be a criminal prosecution where we need to present the evidence against the criminals. Okay, perhaps it's a civil lawsuit. We're going to do a litigation, or going to sue another company who has done this to us. Maybe it's not a criminal, but we have to do a civil lawsuit. Maybe it was a negligence on their part. Okay, and before discarding all the evidence regarding these incidents, we need to consult. We need to ask our legal team. Okay, so do not throw away the evidence yet. That is our phase 4, post-incident activity. Okay, let's look at the chapter. Yes, lesson learned. Then we also do evidence retention. I tried to create the PowerPoints exactly according to the corresponding to the chapter. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Okay. Next slide. Now, let's discuss more about the preparation phase, which is the most important phase. That's when you are getting ready for the incident response. You're readying your people, readying your tools, readying your policy and procedure. So that is really the most important part. So let's talk more about that. First, we build a foundation for incident response. How? First thing we do, create a policy. The policy is created by the upper management, and it's authorized and it's approved by upper management, where the policy should be written in general terms with high level language. Like our policy is that we do per se, every 3 months, the CSIRT, the computer security incident response team should meet. They review their procedure. That could be a part of the policy. Okay, so policy is like that. That who is responsible for what, who is the authority, to what extent we go. This kind of general terms are written in the policy, and they should be approved by the CEO, the chief officers in a company, the highest authority. And this policy also provide authority to the response team, assign responsibilities to a specific person, and also state what our priorities are. It would not have the detail how to, what technology to use, how to respond to an incident. It would not say those kind of things. Policy is general. Policy is not that detailed. Okay, after the policy is done, based on the policy, the procedure will be created. The procedure is more detailed and technical. Exactly what steps do we follow? Exactly what is the step number one? Who is the first one to be alerted? Who would be the second person? How do we contact the who contacts the law enforcement if necessary? All the the um, protocol, right protocol, and the right steps, detailed step by step process is discussed in the procedure. And then we have to document the plan, meaning we have to have a checklist and proper guidance that, okay, make sure that CSIRT team, the incident response team, make sure that you follow this checklist. They have to be documented properly. Okay, that's what we do in the preparation phase. And more than that, let's discuss how a response team is created. Okay, the response team has many different kind of roles. There would be the core members of the team who would be always employed, always always being alert regarding the incident. Whether an incident is happening, they will be monitoring. They are the first one. They are the ones full time involved in the incident response job. And some other members in that team will be as needed based on what type of incident it may be. If we really see that it's a negligible incident, no data breach has happened, law enforcement or our partners does not have to be contacted, then we need to internally let our managers know per se. So they would be they would be informed in due time. If a web type of attack happened where you have um, like say your web server got a breach, like you have a CSS cross-site scripting or an SQL injection has happened. For this type of attack, maybe you need some special knowledge, a specialized team that would be um, would be needed. So they would be not a core member. Those people would not be needed all the time. They are not core members. They are members of as needed team. Okay, so the management, their role should be active, and they are the ones who should provide all the resources and all the authority to the incident response team. Now, it's in some scenario we may want to outsource our incident response or part of the incident response, some part of it we may not be able to do in-house. We may not have that expertise. We may not have that kind of tools. We may not have that kind of setup. So we may outsource some scenarios and some responsibilities to other professional third-party incident response or analysis teams. Okay. Now, scope of control, how far our internal CSIRT team should go, we need to know that also. Okay, like who or what activates the CSIRT? What is the extent of their responsibility? For example, communicating with the law enforcement, who is eligible to talk to the media, who is eligible, who should be keeping the chain of custody for all the affected data, all the affected systems, all the affected devices, who is responsible to communicate with the law enforcement. So this kind of protocol, scope has to be established. Okay, and when we escalate to the next level. Okay, now next step is we're discussing here CSIRT team, the incident response team. How do they do the coordination and information sharing? Okay, the two kind of coordination is needed, internally and externally. Okay, internal communication, we understand there will be the team leader that must be informed. There are different type of members in the team. Maybe one would be the say people who are the first responders. Okay, who's responsible to document the incident, collect all the evidence, make sure nothing is altered, secure them, keep them in the chain of custody. Other people maybe are expert on analyzing a virus, analyzing an intrusion. Okay, they have their expertise in different field. So they need to internally communicate as opposed to external communication. Yes, that is also needed. Again, communicating with the law enforcement, maybe a vendor who gave us that software, who was providing that service, they need to be notified, they need to be worked, they need to be coordinated with. Okay, and or affected parties, maybe some customers of ours, they got affected, they need to be notified. So there has to be clear protocol that who are responsible to do this coordination and this kind of communication. Okay, and release of sensitive information, that's very important. Okay, how and where and when we are allowed or we are responsible even to release some information that is sensitive, perhaps to the law enforcement. Those things has to be documented. Okay, now we also need to classify the incident, and when incident happens, then we also need to classify the incident. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, we got that done. Maybe right here, classifying the incidents. Okay, so classifying the incident, we take two different perspective. What type of incident it is and how severe the incident that has taken place. Okay, what type of incident? Was it a data infiltration, data exfiltration, like data stealing is called exfiltration. Okay, was that a DDoS attack when server went down? Okay, was this a malicious? Was there a spyware, that malicious software that was spying on us? So we need to know exactly what type of incidents that happens, and there's a bunch of them in our book. We're going to take a look at it. Like removable media, somebody brought a flash drive and it had a virus in it. Perhaps attrition type of attack happened, where there was a brute force was used to crack our password. Perhaps a DDoS attack was launched when our servers went down. Perhaps it was a web attack when a cross-site scripting happened. Okay, our users were directed to a different malicious website from where their information was stolen. Things like that. So let's look at the book in our courseware and see. Yeah, then could be email type of attack, could be impersonation, like an SQL injection. Okay, improper usage, loss or theft of equipment that could happen, and unknown type. This kind of thing. Those would be the types of attacks. What type of attack has happened? Then second thing we do is the severity of classification. Severity is how severe the attack was, how much loss did we incur, how grave the attack was. Okay, we do that based on its impact. Okay, so like functional impact could be none, meaning it didn't really, it's negligible, either no effect has happened to our functionality or to our operation, or very negligible effect has happened, or low impact was really low or medium or high. We need to categorize a, an incident. Okay, and then we also categorize what type of data was involved. Okay, so continue to talk about severity classification. Scope of impact, as we mentioned, that none, low, medium, high. Then we also consider economic impact. None, meaning no economic loss has happened or negligible. Low, when it's $10,000 or less, a kind of loss has taken place. Medium, between 10,000 to 500,000, and high, over 500,000. So economic impact is also considered when an incident happens. Okay, what type of data was compromised? That's data type. That's another way to classify the impact. None, meaning no data was compromised, no data was exfiltrated or stolen. Then another category would be privacy breach. That oopsie, it's a personally identifiable data, PII, that was stolen. Okay, personally identifiable data, PII, is stolen. That's a privacy breach. Okay, then you have proprietary. Proprietary kind of data has been stolen. Okay, like PCII, that's called protected critical infrastructure info, very crucial data for your business trade secret that has been taken out. That could be serious loss for the business. Sometimes it's the integrity loss, when the data was not stolen, but data was defaced or modified or changed or deleted. Now we have a situation where we cannot find the appropriate proper data. That could happen as well. Okay, so let's go back to our chapter and see where we are discussing severity classification. All these are data types, as I mentioned, integrity loss, proprietary breach. This kind of situation could take place. Okay, go back to next step is our summary. So that was our chapter. I hope that this video helps you, and I'm intending to make this video so most of you are not coming to the class, and I'm getting between sometimes 0 students, sometimes 1, and sometimes 2 students in the class. So I thought I'll be making these videos, and to see if that helps you better, you can check it from home and study using this. So let me know how it goes and how much helpful it was. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon again to teach you the next chapter. Bye.